Hello everyone, my name is Richelle a Catalunia from grade 11 Faraday, and now we will discuss the week 2 and statistic and probability, which is the parameter and statistic. What is a parameter? Parameter is a numerical measurement describing some characteristic of a population, denoted by Greek letters like population mean, population variance, and population standard deviation. So what is population mean? A population mean is the mean of the entire population. It is computed using the formula, which is population mean is equal to summation of x divided by the number of elements in a population. So for you to better understand, I will now give you an example. The number of teachers in 6 departments of a certain high school are 20, 25, 16, 14, 18, and 15. Now, let's find the population mean. So as you can see in the picture that I've provided, I write there the formula and also on how you can solve the population mean. The first step is you need to write the formula, which is the population mean is equal to summation of x divided by n, which is the elements of population. And you need to plus all of the numbers there, which is the 20, 25, plus 16, plus 14, plus 18, and plus 15, over 6. So how did I get the 6? I get the 6 because all of the numbers there are 6. So meaning the elements there in the population is 6. So our n is 6. After you total all of the numbers there, you need to divide it by it by 6. I divided by the 108 by 6, which can be totaled by 18. So that's how you can get the population mean. So now let's go to population variance. So what is population variance? A population variance is the sum of the square deviation each datum from the population mean divided by the population mean. As you can see in this picture, I've provided the formula for population variance. And now, for you to better understand how to get the population variance of a parameter, we will now move to the next step. So, in order to get the population variance, we will go back to our example earlier, which is the population mean. As you can see in this picture, I already give the examples there. I will just explain everything for you to better understand it. In the third column, as you can see, I minus the 20 in 18. So ma'am, where did 18 go? 18 comes from the population mean. Our population mean earlier is 18, right? So 20, which is the given number, minus 18 is equal to 2. Now, after we computed the third column, we need to proceed to fourth column in order to get the population variance. Now you just need to just need to put a square root after you get the x minus m, which is 2 squared is equal to 4, right? After you total or compute the fourth column, you need to plus all of the numbers there. On the fourth column only, the fourth column only. You need to plus it and divide it by it to n. Our n is 6, right? Our n is 6. So, after you computed all of it, you can get the 82. 82 divided by 6 is equal to 13.666666 in a calculator, in a scientific calculator. Now, you might be asking, ma'am, are we allowed to round off? You are not allowed to round off yet because round off only happens when we go to standard deviation. But now we will just here in variance, population variance. So you just need to copy all of it, or to copy the 4 numbers the four numbers only if the rest of the numbers are the same. Now, for example, there, the total in 82 divided by 6 is equal to 13.666666. I only copied the 46 because the rest of the numbers are the same. So you just only need to copy four numbers after the two decimal point if the rest of the numbers after the decimal point are the same. So that's how you can get the population variance. Now I will give you an example in order to get the standard deviation. As you can see in this picture that I've provided, that is the mean, that is example earlier that we computed. As example earlier, our mean there is 18. Now our population variance there is 13.6666. Now in order to get the standard deviation, we just need to put the square root there. So square root 13.6666 is equal to 3.70. And that's how we can get the population standard deviation. So now let's move to statistic. What is statistic? A statistic is a numerical measurement describing some characteristic of a sample, usually denoted by letters like sample mean, sample variance, and sample standard deviation. We'll now go first in sample mean. So what is sample mean? A sample mean is the average of all the values randomly selected from a population. The formula for there is the sample mean equals summation of x over the number of elements in sample. We'll now go first in sample mean. So what is sample mean? A sample mean is the average of all the values randomly selected from a population. The formula for there is the sample mean equals summation of x over the number of elements in sample. On the screen, in a certain high school, the numbers of teachers there are 20, 25, 16, 14, 15, 11, 30, and 15. Now, the only numbers that has a line are the ones that we will computed. By the formula, sample mean is equal to summation of x divided by n. Screen, I already provided the solution on how you can get the sample mean. The formula is there above. So we just need to plus all of the randomly select numbers, which is the 25 plus 16 plus 18 plus 30 plus 15. Now you might be wondering, ma'am, why those numbers are the only ones that we need to compute? Because as you see earlier, only the numbers that has a red line is the one that we will be computed, because statistic is the randomly selected numbers. So let's go back to on how we get the sample mean. After we total all of it, which is the 104, we need to divide it by 5. Our n is 5 because all of the numbers there are 5. We need to divide it by 5, which is 104 divided by 5 is equal to 20.8. And that is how we can get the sample mean. Sample variance. But for you to better understand it, I will explain it to you each column. So on the first column, as you can see, that is our given earlier. If you remember, that is our given earlier on how we can get the sample mean. We already get the sample mean, which is the 20.8, right? So on the second column, we just need to minus the randomly selected numbers, which is on the first column, that is our randomly selected numbers, and a sample mean. So 25 minus 20.8 is equal to 4.2. That's, of course, that's it. On the third column, in order to get the third column, you just need to put a squared after you get all the numbers here on second column in order to get the numbers here on third column. So if you square the 4.2, you will get a 17.64. But you also need to remember that put a parenthesis before you computed it with squared. So after you get all of the numbers here on third column with a total of 166.8 over 5 minus 1. So ma'am, why did on a sample variance have a minus 1? We need to minus our element sample, which is 5 with 1. So if you minus 5 minus 1 is equal to 4. As you can see on this second picture, 166.8 divided by 4 is equal to 91.7. And that is our sample variance. 91.7 is our sample variance. Now, let's proceed to standard deviation. Sample standard deviation. As you can see on this picture, I will just go thoroughly with it. I will not explain it because only the difference between the sample variance and sample standard deviation is that sample standard deviation is the square root of sample variance. So after you get the total of sample variance, you just need to add a square root of it. So after you get the square root of it, 4.7 squared 4.7 is equal to 6.46. And that's how you can get the sample standard deviation.